Welcome into the Big Hit, folks. I'm your host, Chris Hayes. I'm filling in for Sarah Moltz tonight. We got three great topics for you, starting off with the NFL with Jake Taylor and Sean Fritz. We'll talk about the Steelers' loss to the Bears, Tom Brady and Deshaun Watson dueling it out in New England, and also Eagles rookie Jake Elliott nailing a game-winning 61-yard field goal. Then we'll switch gears to college football with Mitch Gilmore and Elliott Hicks talking about Penn State's big win over Iowa. And then we'll finish off with IUP football with Izzy Muhammad and Jared Brown talking about IUP's beatdown over Edinburgh 38-7 and the greatness of Lenny Williams. We'll be right back on the Big Hit. Stay tuned. Welcome back into the Big Hit, folks. We're talking the National Football League with my good friends Jake Taylor and Sean Fritz. Let's get right to it, guys. Jordan Howard from the Chicago Bears had a breakout game. He ran for a 19-yard game-winning touchdown in overtime for a 23-17 win over the Steelers. Steelers offense was much hyped going into the season. It's not starting off too well for them. They're ranked 22nd in the NFL in total offense. Is this just a bad early season loss, or are you concerned about the Steelers, Sean?
No, I'm not concerned about them at all. I think they're going to be fine moving forward. I feel like we see this every year. The Steelers either get off to a bad start, or we kind of see, especially with a game like Chicago, kind of road games they struggle with, especially against lesser opponents, and that's exactly what Chicago is. So I'm not concerned about it at all. You also have to take into account, as far as the offense goes, which you mentioned, 22nd in the National Football League. Le'Veon Bell got a really late start to this season, so I think that's something to take into account. I think he's going to get going. Once he takes a few more hits, once they kind of get into a flow offensively, I think Le'Veon Bell will be fine. They'll run the ball more. It's going to open up a lot more in a passing game. I think it's just a slow start for the Steelers. I think they're going to be fine. They'll get a chance to come home soon and be able to kind of avenge this loss. But I feel like we see this every year with the Steelers. They lose to a bad team. I'm not worried about it at all, and really nobody's pushing them in the AFC North right now, so I think they've got a little bit of time to kind of figure things out for themselves.
You know what? I disagree. I think the fact that it's not surprising is a concern. We have the best. There's preseason ranks Steelers offense #1 in the league. Mike Tomlin, Todd Haley, they just don't get the job done. Le'Veon Bell, he doesn't need time to come in. He's the best. He's the top 5 running back in the league. Antonio Brown, #1 wide receiver in the league. Ben, top 5. It's not them who can't get the job done. The offensive line, healthy, I say in the top 5 as well. When unhealthy, they're upper echelon. They're built around this offense to go out there and score touchdowns, and they can't do it. The defense has timely turnovers. An interception, a fumble recovery, they do their job. You give the ball to Big Ben, he can't do anything with it. I think it's Todd Haley's fault, bad play calling.
So you think that the Steelers are doomed because they're off to a 2-1 start because they lost to the Chicago Bears?
Yes, I do. I think that it's a game.
So you don't think they're going to win the division then?
Hey, it came out to one arm extension last year, and they had the same offense.
All right. I mean, we'll see at the end of the season. I don't think there's anything to really worry about right now. I understand where you're coming from with different things that are called into question, whether it be play calling or being the ability to move the football to get guys going who should be going. Like you mentioned, Le'Veon Bell, one of the top backs of the league. Antonio Brown, the same thing. But I think at the same time, you have to look at the big picture and see, is this really going to affect them moving forward? Because I don't think it is. I just think it's a little glitch in a long season.
Yeah, I think it shouldn't happen. Who doesn't lose to bad teams? Bill Belichick and the Patriots.
Right. No,
Bill Belichick
totally
and the Patriots. Steelers lose them every year. They need to get past that hump because they're going to end up playing them in the playoffs if they meet up. And if they want to win the Super Bowl, you're going to have to go through New England, and you can't even get through the Chicago Bears.
Certainly is a trend with a Mike Tomlin coach Steelers team losing games they should win. The Steelers go on the road to Baltimore, who's also 2-1 division rival. We talked about. We'll see what happens in that game. Let's switch gears and talk about the New England Patriots and Tom Brady. Also Deshaun Watson. It was a quarterback shootout. It was a 36-33 Patriots win after Brady's last-second 25-yard touchdown to Brandon Cooks. Brady threw for 378 yards and 5 scores. Another tremendous game from him. We expect nothing less from him. Deshaun Watson threw for 301 yards and 2 touchdowns. Big game for the rookie quarterback. What have you seen out of Deshaun Watson to make you believe he can be the Texans' franchise quarterback?
I think I've seen a good amount of Watson. I followed him closely in college. I've seen a good amount of him in the first couple weeks. That being said, with this week, I'm not very impressed with the New England defense, so I don't buy too much into that, but I think he's got a real good opportunity to be a really good quarterback in this league, a serviceable quarterback in this league at the worst. He's got some good weapons down there. He's got a great offensive mind in Bill O'Brien at head coach. He's got a great defense too, which obviously keeps him off the field on the field, and gives him an opportunity to make a lot of plays. So they're missing Will Fuller right now, who's a really good piece for them on the outside. On the other side of DeAndre Hopkins, has proved that he's a top player at the wide receiver position. Also Lamar Miller. I think he's got good weapons. I think there's going to be some bumps and bruises along the way, as there is with pretty much all rookie quarterbacks. But I think with his ability to run the football as well as throw it, I think Watson is going to be a pretty good quarterback in this league.
I completely agree. He's coming into a team who's ranked 29th in passing offense last year in Brock Osweiler, and they made the playoffs. So I think all he has to do is play his game, and I think he can get the job done for sure.
Let's talk about the other team from Pennsylvania. The Philadelphia Eagles won this week. Rookie kicker Jake Elliott nailed a franchise record 61-yard field goal as time expired to beat the New York Giants 27-24. The Giants are now 0-3. The Eagles go to 2-1, and they're now 2-0 in the division. Does this team have a shot to win the division?
Yeah, I think the Eagles definitely have a shot to win the division. I think right now, the way it's looking, it's really going to be 3 teams. It's going to be Dallas, Philadelphia, and Washington. I think the Giants kind of really dug themselves into a big hole going down 0-3 to start the season. I think Philadelphia's got a shot. I think they've got to show a lot more balance, and I think they did that this week between the passing game and the running game. I think they definitely did that this week. I think Carson Wentz is going to be a great quarterback in this league. Defensively, they've got some things to shore up in the secondary, but you can also look at some of the other teams in the division and say the same thing. Washington has got some holes. Dallas has not looked like the same Dallas they've been last year in particular. They've got 2 holes in the offensive line position that they're going to need some time to gel with. So I think it's really anybody's division. I don't think you can rule Philadelphia out. I think they're off to a really good start, and we'll see what they can do moving forward. And I think the same to be said for Washington and Dallas as well.
I completely agree. This division's always competitive every single year, and Philadelphia Eagles beat Dallas Cowboys last year once and lost in overtime. So I think they can really get it done. LeGarrette Blount, I feel, is a huge asset to the team. They're not using him enough, but Darren Sproles out now for the season. He needs a bigger role. He's leading the league in touchdowns. Last year led the New England Patriots to the Super Bowl. I think with Carson Wentz becoming an elite quarterback now, I think he really, truly is. I think Dallas Cowboys might meet their match this year. I think Philadelphia Eagles will do it.
Should be a close race in the NFC East, guys. That's all the time we have, though, unfortunately. Jake Taylor and Sean Fritz. We'll be right back talking college football with Mitch Gilmore and Elliott Hicks. Stay tuned. Welcome back into the Big Hit, folks. We're talking college football now with Mitch Gilmore making his Big Hit debut and Elliott Hicks. Let's get right to it, guys. We're starting to see some upsets now in week 4. Week to week, with Florida State being the latest one. Which teams do you see on upset alert this weekend?
I'm going to have to say Georgia Bulldogs is my pick for big upset this week. Tennessee's looking strong with the run game finally. Passing's coming together nicely. The Bulldogs, though, have been sharp all year long. But I've got to say Tennessee's coming in there. Primetime game, they're going to have to get it done.
Yeah, I had Georgia kind of on my watch list because Tennessee, they played well against Florida, got beat on that last-second Hail Mary. I think there are 2 teams in the top 25 that could be on upset alert this week. San Diego State, who I didn't really realize was in the top 25, they're playing Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois is a team that knocked off Nebraska a couple weeks back. And I think San Diego State just barely skated by Stanford and Air Force. So if anyone's going to get beat this week in the top 25, it could be San Diego State. And another game in the SEC, Auburn at number 13 against Mississippi State. That should be a good one of those evenly matched SEC games that are always exciting. And the Bulldogs completely rolled over LSU a couple of weeks back, but got hammered by Georgia last week. And Auburn hasn't had too much competition this year outside of that Clemson game. So if anyone's going to stop Alabama, Auburn needs to stay on a roll, but Mississippi State could take them down.
It's a good point bringing up San Diego State. Nobody's talking about them at all.
No,
in the top
number
25.
19, that's pretty impressive.
Shocking. Switching gears, 5 different conferences represented in the top 5 right now. Alabama in the SEC, Clemson in the ACC, Oklahoma in the Big 12, Penn State in the Big 10, USC in the Pac-12. Out of those conferences, which conference do you think is the best in college football?
I'm going to have to go with Oklahoma in the Big 12, as many else would agree with me, but also you got TCU and Oklahoma State representing great, both 4-0 teams all year long. But Oklahoma's just for real, and they're pushing hard this year to make their case, but I like the competition I see out of that conference.
Yeah, a lot of very good teams. A lot of good teams in the Big 12 there. I mean, all these conferences, of course, they have their mixture of great teams and bad teams, but I'm going to have to go with the Big 10. Of course, I'm glad to see that the SEC's reign is starting to fall a little bit. But yeah, Penn State, James Franklin is still recruiting really well. Ohio State still is going to have a couple more years at the top. Teams like Michigan, Jim Harbaugh has been an extreme asset to them. And Wisconsin has also been quietly very good for years now. So although every conference has their ups and downs, I think the Big Ten is going to take over the top spot from the SEC.
Speaking of Penn State, let's talk about that crazy game on Saturday. They held off Iowa in a game that went down to the wire, and on a last-second touchdown for Penn State quarterback Trace McSorley to Jawan Johnson. How big of a win was this to go on the road in Iowa in a hostile environment for the Nittany Lions?
Huge win for Nittany. This could have put a speed bump in their whole campaign all year, I feel, especially unranked Iowa. But they went wire to wire going down. I don't even think that ball was supposed to hit Johnson in the back of the end zone. We've been praying that. But that lit up the night for everyone, kept Penn State's hopes for the season alive, and proves they're for real. So we got to talk about Barkley.
Yeah.
Just hedged his campaign for Heisman for the year.
I think if Saquon Barkley doesn't win the Heisman, there's something wrong with college football.
I don't know how they vote.
Yeah, this is an absolutely massive win for Penn State, even though Iowa was not really expected to be that good. The last time Penn State was ranked in the top 5, 2008 and 2009, it was Iowa that took them down. So for them to get this win is huge. Needing the last play of the game to win isn't ideal, but hey, a win is a win. The defense still performed well, and they have 2 easy games against Indiana and Northwestern for season-defining duo games against Michigan and Ohio State in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to those 2 games, Michigan and Ohio State, see if Penn State can actually make the college football playoff this year. They were close last year. That's all the time we have, unfortunately. Mitch Gilmore, Elliot Hicks, thanks, guys. We'll be right back talking IUP football with Ishaq Muhammad and Jared Brown. You're watching The Big Hit. Welcome back into The Big Hit, folks. We're here talking IUP football. The Crimson Hawks are 4-0 now. I'm here with my good friends and Big Hit alums, Jared Brown, Izzy Muhammad. First question, guys. IUP this past weekend beat down Edinburgh 38-7, not even close. Lenny Williams threw for 274 yards and 4 touchdowns. He also ran for 43 yards and looks like his feet are back under him. So the question is, does IUP need him to be that dynamic quarterback that can make plays with both his arm and legs, or is he more effective just with his arm?
Honestly, I think that he's definitely more effective with both his arms and legs. First few weeks, he still was getting his feet under him, and now in this last game, he just kind of exploded. He was making defenders on the field look silly because he was just making them fall. He just looked like he was just doing everything that they needed him to do. Like he was looking like how he played last year. Honestly, they're going to need him when late in the game they need somebody that's going to be able to make this play, able to make it fast, and he's going to be the only guy that's really going to be able to give them that spark that they need. And they can't just have him in the pocket. That's just not the type of quarterback he is. So I believe that he definitely needs to be out and about, having more freedom, not being cooped up in the pocket. I believe he belongs out and making a play on his feet.
I'm going to have to agree with Izzy there that dynamic Lenny Williams is much better than a pocket passing Lenny Williams. But you can't also forget that Lenny has had a lot of success this season being a pocket passer. I know last week against Edinburgh, he just finally broke out, started being a little more dual threat. But you also have to remember he's only 4 games in after a season-ending ACL injury. So he may be a little bit cold foot running out of the pocket, but also just look at all the weapons Lenny has around him that he could use right now. JoJo Goss and Don McNeil coming off rivaling 3 touchdown games. Samir Bullock, the man is a madman, and the offensive line itself, they're a group of madmen. He makes it look easy to pick up 7-yard runs every time he touches the ball. And Justice Evans has been nothing but impressive for the young back. So I would rather have a dynamic Lenny, but that doesn't mean he can't get the job without his legs.
Yeah, he could definitely get the job done without his legs. He's a great pocket passer, but I feel like it's more exciting when he uses his feet too.
Absolutely. I mean, the playmaking ability, and it's just better off to have a dynamic Lenny.
Let's switch gears, guys, and talk about the IUP defense. They had 5 interceptions against Edinburgh. They continue to just be dominant. How key is it for the IUP defense to get a lot of turnovers and extra possessions for the offense to succeed?
Honestly, defense, in my opinion, defense wins championships. You need somebody that's going to be there that can stop when they're 20 yards in about to go into the end zone. Once they're in that red zone, they're going to need someone that's able to step up. And as we saw, IUP defense, he had a few linemen who had interceptions. Max Redfield, who's a safety, he had a pick. Damon Lloyd had 2 picks of linebackers. So guys like that, even Matt Moab, defensive end, he had a pick. So they were just all around the field. It was just a lot of, they were fast, they were moving, they had everything clicking. And, you know, if it wasn't for like some of the flags that the refs were trying to give before the talking the IUP was doing, if it wasn't for that, it was a perfect game. But I was talking to one of the guys, the defensive lineman, Jamal. He said they honestly scored too many points. Like they said Edinburgh has scored too many points. They shouldn't have scored 7. So that's just the way that they're feeling. They don't want nobody to score. They're coming out strong. So we'll just have to wait and see this week.
Yeah, I mean, the 5 interceptions were great, obviously, and to beat Edinburgh 38-7. 7 points does seem like a little too much for IUP's defense with 5 interceptions. That being said, I don't think they're ever going to continue. Five interceptions a game is too much of a rate to keep up with. And Coach Tortorella straight up told me, he's like, it's probably not going to happen for the rest of the season. So I don't expect IUP fans to get used to seeing 5 interceptions a game, but I do think the defense getting turnovers is no matter what football team you are, is a great factor to have. And IUP does have a lot of great playmakers on their defense. Like you said, Max Redfield, Mike Petropola, he's another guy that's been, he's been making fun. He plays literally everything, yes. But he's, I think he knocked a fumble out against East Stroudsburg or got a recovery. I can't quite remember. But there are a lot of big playmakers also on the defensive end. But I don't think the IUP offense has to rely entirely on the defense getting the ball back for them. I think they can make things happen on their own.
This Saturday, the Crimson Hawks head on the road for the first time this season. Their first 4 games were at home. They go on the road for the first time this Saturday to face Seton Hill University. Guys, what are your thoughts on IUP's first road trip, and will they come away with the victory?
Seton Hill, definitely. I feel like IUP would definitely come out with the win just because of what they've shown through these first few games. When you think about it, they're not even going that far away, so it's only like 40 minutes away, so they'll probably leave the day of and still be ready to go whenever the game starts. But honestly, it's their first time they're going to be on the road, so, you know, the new guys that's traveling, they're going to have to get adjusted and know how things work, and they have to make sure their minds are ready, make sure no one's, you know, not tired. It's not really that far, so I don't feel like traveling will really affect them as much. I believe that they have too much firepower on the offensive side of the field that's going to make them win this game. It's going to be a good game because Seton Hills, they're not like a team that you can walk over like the few opponents that they had this year, but I think it's going to be a good game, but IUP still going to win just because, especially what we just saw last week from Lenny, and their running backs may be a little bit down, but the guys that they do have are making an impact on the game.
I'm going to have to agree. I think IUP is going to go into Seton Hill and take care of business pretty much for all the reasons Izzy just said. It's in Greensburg, Indiana to Greensburg, 45-minute drive, so it's not like traveling is going to take a physical toll on the Crimson Hawks. Also, I think IUP is going to have a little more trouble than they're anticipating with Seton Hill. I know Seton Hill's not traditionally a PSAC powerhouse, but Seton Hill does have a senior quarterback and a veteran receiver core coming, so you know they're going to be throwing a lot, just like Edinburgh. But I think because they have a veteran receiving core and a veteran quarterback.
And also, Walt Pegues is coming back this week. And that's
Walt's back this week.
That's a big addition for them.
That is a huge addition for Lenny and the offense. But I do think Seton Hill is going to have a much better pass offense than Edinburgh will, even though they're both very pass-heavy offenses. But I do think IUP is going to go in there, take care of business, and win probably 42-24 is what I'll call the final score.
We're all taking IUP in this game, folks. That's our show. From producers Izzy Muhammad and Jared Brown, 2 guys right here, director Darnell Turner, I'm your host, Chris Hayes. Be sure to tune in next week on The Big Hit. That's our show. Have a good night.